everybody, Raul here for Bass Musician Magazine, and today we have the extraordinary honor and pleasure of chatting with Sean Anderson, bassist for Finger 11 from our great neighbors up north, Canada, directly. So happy to have this opportunity to chat with you, Sean. As always, we like to talk about the beginning. We kind of start from the beginning. How did you get started in music and particularly on bass?
I started when I was 17 and I hadn't played any instrument before that. I had a buddy that was, played drums. He knew a guy to play guitar. And it was kind of like, well, what else do you guys need? And my friend described it as like, bass. He said it's one of those things that you don't really notice it, but you notice it if it's not there or something like that. Which I don't know if that's a fair assessment now. That was many years ago. But I know what, I kind of, in a layman's terms, I kind of know what he means. But yeah, so it started off there and then just, kind of fell in love with, from then on. I got Fender Squier P bass that I still have, still have with me. And then it became a thing where my brother, who originally played drums, started singing. He was on theater and stuff like that. And we started a band to do sort of the end of the school year concerts and that kind of thing. Played covers like, I think we played Sunshine of Your Love, Heartbreaker, Purple Haze, and then that was with a teacher on guitar or something like that as well. And then later on, the next year, we did Pearl Jam and Tragically Hip, a Canadian band. So this was in that, having that sense and playing in that, in the gym, before the winter break, and just the vibe and, the thrill of playing in front of an audience. And that was definitely something that, just kept us going. And we kept on being a band. And I was in university and the other guys were still in high school. Some were a couple years older, but we entered a radio station contest, local Ontario 97.7 Hits FM radio station contest, their new rock search, and made the finals, won that contest. And we felt like we were on top of the world, right? And that led to a record deal. And, it's just one of those things, one thing led to another.
Wow.
Right? So very lucky and just kind of, stumbled into it in a way. But
there you go. Now, are you self-taught pretty much?
Yeah, I did take some lessons, and thinking back on it, I wish I had taken more, and I might even consider taking them now. I did some online stuff. There's a bass. I don't know if you guys do lessons online or not. I don't know whether, but there's a one called Study Bass, which I thought was really, I've enjoyed that. But yeah, mostly self-taught. I did get rear-ended on the way to a bass lesson. I'm not sure. I had everything in my, but I don't know if that was the end of that or not, but it's just one of those things, how it goes in and out. But yeah, I guess mostly self-taught, but I do appreciate having somebody there as I remember somebody talking about sliding, pinky slides or something like that. There's things that I know I'm doing that aren't proper technique, right? And it's like, I should have paid more attention, probably. Back when I had the chance.
Well, when you've got whatever works for you, and that is kind of, if nothing else, in my opportunities to chat with bass players, there's no one single path. And sometimes there's people that will do things in their own way that everybody else would go, no, that's not right. But if it works for you, then hey, you can't argue with the success of what's working. One of the impressive things to me with music, and I'll say particularly Finger 11, is that over the years, there's always been a little bit of geographic isolation when it comes to flow of music from Canada to the US or Latin America to the US. And I think it's gotten better a little bit over time because of the internet, if nothing else, because we will hear other groups and go, it's not as limited. But back in the days, and you guys have been at this since 1990, so this goes back, Finger 11 goes back quite a while. But record labels kind of would limit the reach of of
Right.
things. And so we're kind of going, wow, because I'm looking at all of your achievements. Again, as we're talking, your greatest hits collection is being released. I think it's out on CDs already. Albums are coming up in August for those lovers of vinyl, which that's a thing coming back nowadays.
Right.
It's a love-hate kind of thing. I guess in my memory, all I have is a bunch of kind of scritchy, scratchy records that you could always hear that as the stylus went around, and CDs took away all of that.
Yeah, fair enough. With the vinyl, we were excited because our guitar player, James, spent a lot of time doing a lot of artwork, and he was intimately involved in the packaging and design. So it was definitely a labor of love. And, you know, he was always like texting us, what do you think, guys? When he was like, oh, that's cool. So it was a nice process. So he's, you know, very musical, obviously, but he's also very artistic in that, and create, you know, visual arts in that too.
Nice.
He does a lot of artwork over the years, album artwork and that kind of thing, right? So, yeah, it was a nice opportunity to put that together.
Gotcha. Well, and again, it is so exciting, but you guys have such a body of work. For me, it was very eye-opening getting a chance to sample your now greatest hits. So tell us a little bit about this whole project.
Yeah, it was having a collection of, you know, an excuse to do the vinyl, having a collection of the songs. So that would be probably the most popular one would be Paralyzer, and a song called One Thing, and then different selections from, you know, over the years. And the new song called Together Right, which we're really proud of. And we also included a cover of Welcome to the Machine. So, you know, coming down, trying to make it, how many songs do you put on something, right? I mean, where's the cutoff? And we had those discussions about what should go on, what shouldn't, and that's still going on now. It's too late to change it, but you know, but overall, it was an enjoyable process, and excited that it came to fruition, and it's out, and it gives us a chance to go tour, and now, you know, make sure that we continue to put out new material. We're excited to do that. Mm-hmm. It's been a while since we've put out new material, so this is a kind of, okay, we've done this now, and we're still going to, you know, obviously can tour it.
Yeah.
But excited to keep going back and look over, maybe forgotten demos, or, this was a cool idea, or just write new stuff, wherever it comes from, right?
Gotcha.
So,
gotcha.
Together Right was kind of an older song that the drummer, who produced the tracks, said, hey, you guys, what's this? You know, like on a hard drive, we're at a cottage writing retreat. And so that kind of got resurrected, and I'm glad it did. You know, we're really happy with it. So
nice. Well, and I just think always greatest hits are many times an opportunity for people who haven't had a chance to discover a band or discover your music to kind of get a compilation, and you kind of go, oh wow, you know. So I think in my CD rack, there's a lot of greatest hits of multiple artists. Where,
right,
like, I think, this is where I really got to like this group because of this, and it makes you want to dive deeper and start looking at what they're doing, new material and past material, because you guys do have a very varied, I mean, it's definitely within rock, but there is quite a wide range there of how things sound, you know, going from something that's a little more acoustic to something like this new piece that you mentioned, Together Right. It's kind of and the video is great because it's got this kind of pseudo futuristic in a factory overall-y kind of thing going. So it's very catchy, and it kind of sticks in your head, and you kind of go, oh, okay, there you go. So, you know, I think it's a great opportunity, and certainly we're looking forward to hearing more. When we talk about your sound, because you mentioned your trusty Fender P-Bass, tell us a little bit about your gear and how you're getting your sound.
I generally play with fingerstyle, and obviously this new track, Together Right, is with a pick. Mm-hmm. And for a long time I was, you know, very, I guess I didn't want to play with a pick for whatever reason. And over the time realized that, a lot of great songs that I love, it's like, actually that's played with a pick.
Yeah.
Or flat picking, whatever it may be. So I don't, it's just maybe it also, you know what, it could have been just the fact that starting with a pick was just not as efficient or as good as with fingerstyle. It wasn't as comfortable, right?
Yeah.
So getting out of your comfort zone. Now, so there's that part of it, right? Just sort of opening up, just getting a sound that you can achieve with a pick that you can't with fingers, and vice versa, right? And then try, maybe on a song, try both. As far as amps and that, I do really like sort of like the Ampeg, the traditional warm round sound, Ampeg type of thing. I have Mesa Boogie 400 Plus that I had way back in the day, and I like that. It's a good sound as well. But it's just one of those things. The other day I plugged into an Ampeg and I was like, oh wow, yeah. Funny enough, though, 9 times out of 10 on stage, in ears, I'm listening to the direct signal more often than not.
Yes.
So the amp sort of gives some kind of ambience, but in some ways, I miss having that sort of. I'm not hearing the amp in some ways. I know you can add in the microphone line to it as well, but generally I have the direct line for it, and then I don't really go through many effects or anything like that live. Sometimes what happens in the studio, I'll be honest, whether something how it's acute or we'll put it through this plugin or that type of thing. Sometimes that kind of happens, and I'll be like, oh, this sounds good, and I'm not quite sure, how we got there. And then as far as how I ended up playing a 5-string, I'll start off by saying, I don't need a 5-string because I'm not all over the place, right? I got a 5-string because I could, with some of the earlier albums, I could play the low D on the 3rd fret. And I didn't have to switch back and forth and have to, it was kind of like intellectually lazy, maybe. I don't know. But it may have also been when we first did an album and we were having a real tough time with tuning. It got to the point where the producer was saying, I don't know, are you sure you're not moving your finger? You're bending it. Doesn't, he heard, and it's one of those things, of course, he heard it. I, with my ears, not, I sounds okay to me, but not, so. So we borrowed, somebody had a 5-string Sadowski bass, and that, was set up, however it worked for this situation. So I think at that point, I was like, well, I better go get one of these, I better get a good quality bass as well. And I ended up getting a Lakeland bass. Nice. And I've had those, I've had them, had the same one ever since. And I bought a couple more, like the Skyline ones, which I love. And yeah, but I like the I like the Fender style kind of bass.
Gotcha. When you find what you're comfortable with and you find what works, I'll say you're lucky, because you hear so many bassists on the perpetual search for that holy grail of instrument that they're just not, they want just a little more.
I see.
And then they end up with 40 basses and they still haven't found the one they're looking for. So if you can find something you really like and dial that in, then hey, power to you.
Having said that, what's kind of fun is just sitting down with Spotify, putting on some songs, and with the 4-string, and just trying to play along or try and figure out, just like you did back when I was first starting, right? And there's a joy in that, and then playing the 4-string is just, it's like, oh, this is fun, right? Not that playing the 5-string isn't fun, but I think also too the way that how you get used to the feel of the neck, and that becomes a comfort thing too. So I like the profile of the neck on the Lakeland.
Absolutely,
right?
Very cool. And do you have a preference in strings?
We've been using SIT strings.
Okay.
So, but I mean, in general, what are they? They're round wound, right? I think we recorded one song where we did flat wound. We were trying to mimic a fretless, or maybe it was like flat wound strings on a fretless, but back in the day, or there was a half rounds, and I remember stuff like that. But yeah, generally speaking, now it's just a round wounds, and I don't really change strings that often. I know for recording, it's best have the new strings on there, and then you can EQ out, I guess, some of the top end.
Sure.
But it's there if they need it, right? Where if you had dead strings, I mean, it depends on the thing. I know the classic James Jamerson thing was no need to change the strings, and why and why would you, right? Yeah, so I don't change strings that often. It's nice. I prefer like them a little bit, I guess a little bit dead. But,
a little dead.
So yes, SIT strings was the one that sort of used, but they've been really good to us.
Very cool.
So,
Well,
yeah.
and with string preferences, and again, how bright they are, how dead they are. I mean, a lot of it has to do with what music you're playing, what's fitting in. My favorite comparison is reggae. If you're playing reggae, the deader your strings, the better. I mean, like I've talked to reggae players that like never change their strings. It's not even infrequent. It is never. You just want the lub
That's
dub
awesome.
lub dub lub dub. And then also a lot of it has to do with like your body chemistry as well, because there are players that sweat a little more, or they have a little more acidic sweat. And I actually talked to one player who he claims he can kill a set of strings in one sitting.
Wow.
If he goes on and plays, they're no good for anyone else after that. And he said that he has a friend that had basses, and his friend won't let him play his basses because he kills his friend's strings. And he says, I don't know what it is. Every time you come and you play my bass, it's different after you're done. And you can wipe them down, you can clean them, you can do whatever. That guy is, there's something with the chemistry, and so he's had to find workarounds with lotions and all kinds of stuff. So, however you get your sound, again, that is just absolutely perfect. Circling back, I know you guys you mentioned touring, mostly United States and Canada, so kind of a North American tour. That sounds very exciting. You have kind of some ballpark. I think you're starting in Canada first.
Yeah, we have some dates in August out west, and then I think move into the U.S. in September.
Mm-hmm.
I think later in the fall, back in to do like a kind of a theater run again out west, and then, but sort of we're waiting more, hopefully more to come. Right, we're just at that stage.
Nice.
It's exciting to. It's been a while. We've done a lot of kind of one-offs, but it's been a while since we've done a consistent tour.
Mm-hmm.
So looking forward to that. Although we will be away, I was hoping Peter Gabriel's coming, I think September 9th to Toronto. Scott and I, my brother, were like, want to see that show. We're going to be away. But yeah, we both grew up as huge Genesis Peter Gabriel fans. And well, I saw the So tour in, I think, when I was 15, so maybe 1986, 87. And left a big impression on me. And it's like, I don't know if you've heard the new stuff, his new album, but
No, I haven't had the opportunity.
I think it's like Tony Levin. It's still the players that the guys that he's with, right?
Wow.
And yeah, I think they're great. The songs are cool. So, but hopefully I get a chance at some point to see it.
Hopefully so. Hopefully so, if schedules permit. Now, if people want to know where you're going to be, the best place to look, finger11.com. Your website is a great starting point. In addition to that, on Instagram, they can look at finger_11. Look for finger11 on social media.
Fair enough, yeah.
Yeah, there we go. Well, Sean, it's been so great having a chance to hear about your journey and your music. We're very excited about the Greatest Hits collection. And, if your media of choice is CDs, that's already available and on digital downloads, if I understand correctly.
Yeah.
But if you're one of these vinyl purists, there's a little something for you. And that's also another very exciting thing to have, because a lot of bands are not doing vinyl anymore. And so when you get something fresh and new that isn't already old and scratched like most of my records, it's a pleasant adventure. So very
For
cool.
sure, yeah. Yeah, it's our first foray into it, so hopefully, yeah, I'm excited.
Very nice. Well, folks, you've seen him here, Sean Anderson on Bass Musician Magazine.
Awesome. Thank you very much.